Do you believe that there is no final truth or concrete reality that we can be sure of? If you do, then you might as well be a postmodernist. Good day everyone, this is Amara Magid, your reporter for today. Our topic for today is all about postmodern literary theory, which is the last lesson in this subject ELE 138 Literary Criticism. But before we proceed to our discussion, let's all be guided by the learning outcomes. So at the end of this lesson, you students can determine the biography of the proponents of the postmodern literary theory, explain postmodern theory, and apply the theory by analyzing the Harry Potter novel by J.K. Rowling. Without further ado, let us begin our discussion with determining the proponents of the postmodern theory. So the proponent of this theory is no other than Jean-François Lyotard. He was a French philosopher and literary theorist. He was born in 1927 to an inspirational middle-class family. He is also well known for his articulation of postmodernism after the late 1970s and the analysis of the impact of postmodernity on the human condition. As a youth, Lyotard considered becoming a monk, a painter, and a historian. In 1966, he began teaching philosophy at the University of Paris 10. In year 1970, he moved to the University of Paris 8, where he was appointed professor emeritus in 1987. In the 1980s and 90s, he taught widely outside French. He was professor of French at the University of California, Irvine from 1993 and professor of French and philosophy at Emory University in Atlanta, Georgia, US from 1995. Lyotard was a member of a faculty at the Nanterre in 1968 and played an important role in the movement du 22 Mars. The said movement, which is the movement of March 22, was a student-led movement at the University of Nanterre that began on March 22, 1968 and led to a lengthy occupation of the university's main administrative building by the students. So, Lyotard's political engagement was the bedrock of his philosophical works, and not only did they not shy away from politics, but each of the works also acknowledged his political dissidence. So now let's define what is postmodern literary theory. So accordingly, postmodern is a term used to refer to the culture of advanced capitalist societies. This culture has undergone a profound shift in the structure of feeling. It is a whole new way of thinking and being in the world emerged, which is a paradigm shift in the culture, social, and economic orders. The postmodern literary theory is a term being used referring to a culture in developed society. The culture was profound in the structure of feelings. Postmodern is a new thinking to the emerging society of world. As I said a while ago, it is a paradigm shift in the culture, social, and economic orders. In that sense, most literary pieces are playfully according to the society like politics, cultural perspective, and economic growths. So, the style of literary pieces in the postmodern era is modernizing and well developed. In postmodern literary theory, it was said that society began in different names such as post-industrial society, multinational capitalism, consumer society, and media society. And those societies are characterized by the following. We have a new type of consumption. A new type of consumption pertains to as the new type of consumption, which refer to a society that changed. Next, we have planned obsolescence. It is more undeveloped obsolescence, meaning it related to the society. We also have ever more rapid rhythm of fashion and styling changes, which more on songs and the style changes. We also have the penetration of advertising, television, and the media. In these characteristics, the advertisement in the television and media was existent. The next characteristics is the replacements of the old tension between city and country, center and province by the suburb and by universal standardization. So in this characteristic, it is more generalized. There is no more division in this characteristic. And the last but not the least, the growth of the great networks of superhighways and the arrival of the automobile culture. At this point, the development of the network like cell phones and social media has become the culture. Therefore, the term postmodern has been applied to a style or a sensibility manifesting itself in any creative endeavor which exhibits some elements of self-consciousness and reflexivity. Postmodern manifests in a creative way that showcases some elements of self-consciousness and reflexivity. So the postmodern writer writes to challenge the sensibility of the reader. We have here the common features of the postmodern text. We have the fragmentation, intertextuality, we have heterogeneity, pastiche. We also have discontinuity, decentering, plurality, nudism, indeterminacy, dislocation, and metafictionality, parody. Perhaps the greatest liberating features of postmodern writing has been the mixing of writings and intertextual referencing. The borders between genres have become more fluid. So the artists and the writers here are no longer quote text. They just incorporate them to the point where the line between high art and commercial form seems increasingly difficult to draw. For instance, the works of Andy Warhol, the novel of Don DeLillo, Jasper Forde, Thomas Pynchon, and William Gibson, the poetry of Allen Ginsberg, Harriet Mullen, Suzanne Ho, movies like Moulin Rouge, Matrix, Vanilla Sky, Inception, Adjustment Bureau, Stranger Than Fiction, and Mamma Mia. In literary criticism and theory, postmodernism is an analytical tool that focuses on the social political underpinnings and motivations of literature concerning the individual. Much of the postmodern literary theory is made up of or inspired by philosophical or critical discourse proposed by theorists that were not originally intended for literary criticism. So, to understand the postmodernism, we need to understand what it opposes, such as the modernism. When we say modernism, it was a movement in arts and literature that sought to depart from tradition and conventions and reform the arts to fit modern values. As the name suggests, modernism was all about newness and innovation. The interesting aspect of postmodernism is its interconnectedness with different theories of culture. For instance, the postmodernism is influenced by the material approach to society and cultures, followed by the Marxist. So many postmodern theorists began their careers from a Marxist perspective or by commenting on Marxist theories. And that would be all. Thank you.